taking feedback for the moments that matters to the employees. How you actually balance the diverse expectations from different set of employees.
But now we have Gen Z coming into the workforce, and their median tenure is closer to 1 year, 8 months.
They are looking for maybe a meaningful role. They are looking for a development opportunities.
Gen Z considers a flexibility, inclusive workplace.
Taking the feedback and understanding emotions, what makes a difference to them? That is a completely different thing.
At Top Employers, we have coined a term for this. It's called the new belonging.
Beauty and the advantage here is that you get the feedback today, right? And then you can take action tomorrow.
Welcome to the Top Employers podcast, where we explore ideas and perspectives for a better world of work. My name is Livia, and I'm very excited today that we are exploring one of the critical topics in HR challenges today: how to build a sense of belonging in an era of rapid change and career fluidity. I'm very excited about the guest that we have with us today. Today we have Tarkesh Gupta, CHRO of South Asia for Fresenius Kabi, India. Tarkesh, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
No worries. Fresenius Kabi is a global healthcare organization providing life-saving medicines and technologies for critically and chronically ill patients. The company motto is committed to life, and I'm very excited that we have Tarkesh here with us today to explore how Fresenius Kabi brings this motto to life through a sense of belonging for the employees.
Great. Thank you.
First of all, I want to congratulate you for being awarded the Top Employer certification for 3 years in a row. And I'm very curious to hear your views on what that means for the organization.
So thank you, Livia. Of course, it means a lot to us. In fact, it gives a lot of advantage in terms of the employer branding. You stand tall in the crowd. And then, of course, from the perspective of retention and attraction of the talent, right? Because when any prospective employee search for the good organization, and then when you have a tag like top employer, it gives a sense of feeling to the candidate that, hey, this organization must be having a good HR practices. Also from the perspective of learning from the process and then improving, and that's where it helps us a lot. Let me be very honest with you. To begin with, when we started this process in 2023, our objective was not to get the certification or the good score only. We wanted to learn from the process and then see that how we can improve our employee experience in the organization, because we strongly believe that these certifications and the scores are the byproduct, right? This is actually what makes a difference, that what we do day in day out. And that's where our employee value proposition, the way we articulated, the way we communicated, the way we linked it with the business, actually made a lot of difference in the entire process. Also, our well defined HR KPIs, right? In fact, we always question ourselves that what we are doing, why we are doing, and how actually it is giving us the desired results. If it is not giving a desired results, then we need to jolly well drop that particular initiative or activity. And that's where this HR KPIs help us a lot to see that whether these activities are effective or not. The third element, which actually helped us a lot in the entire process, our focus and approach towards the digitalization and automation. How we are using the technology, latest technology like artificial intelligence in our employee listening practice, in our R&R practice, in our well-being practices. So all those things actually help us a lot in the entire process. Also, we have learned a lot in the process. And I was talking about the employee journey map, right? And this is what we have learned from the top employer only. So first year, we were not aware that what is all about this. We were taking the feedback from the employees. But when we learned in the process that it is not only about taking the feedback, but also understanding the perspective, taking the feedback for the moments that matter to them, right? And then that's where you actually get the real feedback, which helps us to take many initiative in the last couple of years. So absolutely a great learning experience for us, and we are really happy to get the certification 3 times in a row.
I am so happy to hear you say that, Tarkesh. I think it really makes a big difference. It resonates closely with our organizational purpose, which is building a better world of work. And exactly to your point, we understand that the certification is a rigorous process, but at the end of the day, the certification is the cherry on the cake.
Yeah,
Like it's the
absolutely.
byproduct. For me, it's a marker of the amount of hard work and dedication from your team to build a great employee experience and to prepare your employees also for what's coming next so that as a whole the organization is future proofed and it's ready. So really I think kudos to your team for the hard work to earn the certification year after year.
Thank you.
You're most welcome. So, I am very excited to hear about the initiatives that you have built at Fresenius Kabi, specifically around belonging and purpose. But before we do that, I also want to set the scene a little bit, I think, for why we are exploring this topic today and why is it so salient in today's context. As of 2025, we are looking at median tenure for employees, which is around 4 years, and that applies in India, Southeast Asia, and the USA. Whereas if we look at Europe and Japan, that's closer to 10 years. But now we have Gen Z coming into the workforce, and their median tenure is closer to 1 year, 8 months. So things are going potentially to change very drastically in the way we operate, in the way we engage our employees in our workforce. At Top Employers, we have coined a term for this. It's called the new belonging, and it's really around the question of how can organizations leverage the current situation of dynamic talent fluidity, and how can you find opportunities within that to build a sense of connection and a sense of common belonging for your employees in the workforce so you get the best out of them every single day while they are with you. I'm
Right.
curious, yes.
Yes, absolutely, Livia. I think this is one of the biggest challenge the organizations facing today. And typically, in any organization, you will find all employees. So you have employees from Gen X, Gen Y, and Gen Z, and each category is different from each other. Right? Gen X primarily, when they talk about the belonging, for them it's a job security, right? And their typical, what you mentioned, period in an organization is around 5 to 8 years. But when we talk about a Gen Y, they are looking for maybe a meaningful role. They are looking for a development opportunities. And that's where their span of in an organization maybe around 3 to 5 years. And like you mentioned, Gen Z, their typical span in the organization is one year, 8 months. They are looking for more of an individuality. They are looking for a social connections. They are looking for a purpose. And that's where they are kind of in a quickly changing the organizations. And this is one of the biggest challenge for the organization, that how you actually ensure that every category of the employee feel that belonging in the organization. How you actually balance the diverse expectations from different set of employees. Like I was talking to somebody that how you actually balance inclusivity versus, I would say, the individuality. So there are certain category of employees, they are looking for individuality. There are certain category of employees, they are more comfortable with the inclusivities. And these are the challenge for the organization to actually carve out the policies, practices, and programs where the each category of employees feel a belongingness. No matter how much time they're spending in the organization, maybe 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, or 5 years, they carry that connection and feeling even they leaving the organization with that kind of feeling, so that they would like to come back maybe after some time. So I think this is one of the challenge, and this is the way the organization need to ensure that each category of employees feeling the belongingness.
I think you are spot on. And as part of some of the top employers research that we do, last year we have also conducted research for Gen Z with 1,800 Gen Z individuals globally. We had identified, interestingly enough, as you had mentioned, primarily they are looking for social connection, personal well-being, and at the same time, one of the top priority areas for them was learning and growth. To your point, it's quite interesting because we now have a multi generational workforce, and each different segment has different expectations and needs. I'm very curious at Fresenius Kabi, to begin with, how do you identify the different needs of the different segments in your workforce?
I think what we do here, that the constant communication is one of the key thing. No matter whether you are Gen X, Y, or Z, right? It is all about that whether people have that opportunity to speak. People have an opportunity to actually share their concerns and ideas. And that's where we also use the technology. So we have an artificial intelligence powered employee listening tool, and it is available 24 by 7 for the employees. And whatever the concerns they have got, they can actually reach out to the tool and then share that concerns. And you know that 80% of our employees are working remotely. And when you have a remote workforce, creating that sense of belonging become little more complex. And
Definitely.
it is humanly not possible to have a 10 people team in the organization, HR team, and then reach out to everybody. And this way, using the technology makes a lot of sense. So whatever we do here, we try to reach out to the employees through the technology, and then also we are not losing any human touch here. We make sure that at least 2 to 3 times in a year, or maybe more than that, we are meeting our employees, those who are working remotely, in person, spending time with them, understanding their concerns, understanding their needs, and then see that how we can actually modify our policies and practices, and what kind of new initiative we can bring in, so that we are in a position to satisfy those needs. Whether we talk about our reward and recognition program, we have got a reward and recognition program where any employee can actually appreciate anyone in the organization on the go. So peer appreciation, right? Then we have, and then also we are using the artificial intelligence here. We have got an employee well-being like synergy. On a click of button, you can actually seek help for, even if you've got a mental stress. Seek help for doctor consultations, right? Even the physical well-being, you want to attend the yoga classes, you want to attend the Zumba classes, all those things are available on a click of button. So idea here is that we need to provide the experience to the employee, okay, that makes a difference to their life, not only to their life. Like our synergy well-being app, it actually extends the help to our family members also, to the employees family members also, so
Wow.
that even the family also feels connected with the organization, not only the employee.
That's incredible. And that's, I think, a classic example of how you extend that sense of connection, not just within the organization and with the employees, but the employees' personal network. Who is the most important to me? It's
Yeah.
my family and it's my work family. I'm very curious, as you have mentioned, about the AI employee listening tool. How did you make that land here and how is it used on a regular basis?
So it is an interesting story, Olivia. I think 6 years back, and we wanted to actually move away from the traditional annual employee engagement surveys, because these are very tedious and time consuming, and we see around 20% attrition. So by that time, I plan for the engagement survey, conduct, have a report available. You will find that 40% of workforce is changed by the time. And that's where we were looking for something which can help us to understand that what is my employee engagement on a click of button on a daily basis. That's where we actually identified this tool, which actually helped us to reach out to my employees on a daily basis without creating a survey load. So it is not that every employee actually giving the feedback every day, it is a tenure based.
You're avoiding survey fatigue completely.
Completely. And then also ensuring that participation at a high rate, because it is reaching out to the employee only 2 times in a year. So our participation rate is 92% or 93%. But the engagement rate today is also 90% plus. Because the beauty and the advantage here is that you get the feedback today, right? And then you can take action tomorrow. You don't need lengthy analysis and presentations and planning and so on and so forth. And that's where actually that makes a difference in the employee life, right? That you have a concern and then your concern is immediately getting addressed. You are not waiting for maybe entire year to have some kind of action planning.
This is a classic example of innovation and agility to me at its best. Because as you have mentioned, employees' needs are changing at such a rapid pace that By the time you have run your employee engagement survey and by the time you have done the analysis and announced it, it's going to be maybe 4 months dated,
Yeah,
more or less.
and then it also gives a advantage in terms of if you want to look into the overall results or you want to look into specific results. So like we have a category, watch list category. So my critical talent, I have got a 15% people, right? Those who are in the watch list, they are critical talent for me. And I can see, hey, what is the engagement rate of them? What is the engagement rate of my other employees? Then I have a category, people to meet category, right? Where people are highly disengaged. And I need to see that what I need to do to ensure that from highly disengaged they reach to at least engaged level. And sometimes I can have one-on-one conversations also with the people. And that's what makes a lot of difference, because many times what happens, the concerns can be very personal and private, right? And unless this concern is being addressed, whatever you do in the organization doesn't make any difference to me. And that's where it actually gives a lot of advantage to us.
It does. And at the same time, it allows you to proactively get ahead of talent changes.
It also helps us to, Olivia, identify what is the flight risk. Because I see on a click of button what is my engagement, who are disengaged, and why they are disengaged. And then if they are disengaged, what is the flight risk and what I should do to reduce that flight risk.
Have you seen any changes in attrition ever since you implemented the tool? Or is it too early to say?
No, it is not too early to say. What I have actually observed that many times you may not have a ready-made solution available, but when you give the shoulder to the person, when you give ear to the people, half of their problems get resolved. And then they believe, hey, I am sitting in one of the remotest part of the country, and then HR head is just calling me and trying to understand. That is the big thing, and that makes a lot of difference.
It does. Absolutely, it does. Is there anything else that you think is unique about what's being done at Fresenius Kabi that's building a sense of belonging in the employee population?
So I would especially talk about the kind of efforts and the investment which we make to empower my managers in the organization. Because that, Livia, managers play a very crucial role in the engagements. It is not about the tools, it is not about the technology. Right? It is all about that what you actually do on day-to-day basis, how you deal with the people, how you actually show that respect to the people. That makes a lot of difference. So we have various programs which actually empowers managers and also train managers that how to create a psychological shift workplace, right? How to actually ensure that there is a fairness in the process, in the system. How to ensure that there is a transparency, right? So we have a program like LeadCom, which is leaders as a coach and mentors. So we train them that how you can be a coach and mentors instead of a just administrative managers. What kind of a conversation you need to have with the people. So when we are talking about the performance, how you can also talk about the well-being, how you can talk about also the career aspirations of the individuals. And that's what makes a lot of difference in the employee engagement. And many times I'll tell you, people come back and then say, hey, I'm getting a better opportunity, I'm getting X amount higher in that organization, but I would not like to leave the organization because the kind of a respect I'm getting here, the kind of culture which I'm getting here, I may not get that kind of a thing. So I would say the unique, it may not be a very unique thing, but I think the kind of efforts we are making to train and to empower our managers to create the psychological safe workplace, that is, I think, incredible, not only from the HR perspective, but from all the managers' perspective.
And just before this, I appreciate that you were also sharing with me that as part of the employee journey mapping exercise that you had implemented, it was a key learning that the manager's experience provided to the departing employee is one of the most critical learnings that you discovered from that process.
Absolutely, and I would like to give credit to top employer for that. Two of our practices are actually considered as a best benchmark practices, and they are also published on the top employer portal. One is a candidate communities, and the second was the employee journey map. And what I was mentioning to you, that we take feedback, right? We were taking the feedback not only from the employees but also when they are prospective employees, candidates. So we have a candidate feedback. We also take pre-boarding feedback, onboarding feedback, off-boarding feedback, and all those things. What we have learned in the process, that taking feedback, thinking from our own perspective is one thing, but taking feedback for the moments that matters to the employees, and taking the feedback and understanding the emotions, what makes a difference to them, that is a completely different thing. And when we have actually learned this, and then we map those emotions and feedback in the employee journey map, these were, I would say, the outcomes were the eye openers, and that helped us to take certain initiatives, right? So what we did in the diversity, equity, inclusion play space, that is based upon the feedback. What we have done in employee well-being, that is based upon those feedbacks.
And to me, this is a key marker of how Fresenius Kabi is embodying a learning organization. Not only the feedback that you hear from your employees, but also the feedback and the external perspectives that you gather to build and improve your people experience. That I think is very commendable.
In fact, I must tell you that every year top employer actually changes the goalpost.
We do.
You you brings many new questions, and that actually put us onto the toe and say that, hey, now we need to do this also.
But that we do not because we changed the goalpost, but because the world of work is improving and evolving rapidly every single year, right?
Absolutely,
We
absolutely.
certify 2,400 organizations in 2025. Within those organizations, the impact is to more than 12 million employees at this point in time. And you can see among those 12 million employees, we have already spoken about how the expectations are changing. And that drives our HR organizations to evolve and to think ahead,
Yeah.
right? So everybody is staying on their toes. And of course, from here, we then evaluate the practices that will also be, we hope, market leading for and inspiring for organizations like yourself. So thank you for saying that. I want to dial back to what you were saying regarding how you engage employees who are exiting. And the reason is because this is actually one of those rare moments and rare areas of investment for a lot of organizations that don't actually put a lot of focus to this segment of employees. So, how does Fresenius Kabi build a sense of connection and continued, in some sense, continued belonging for employees who are leaving or who have left?
I think it's a very important lever, very, and then I would say that leaving employees are also integral part of the organization, though they are leaving the organization, but
Why?
they work as a brand ambassador for the organization, right? When they go to a different organization and talk high about your organization, that makes a lot of difference. And this is the way we look into it. And that's where our efforts are, that even the people are leaving, we as an organization, from HR or managers or from anyone for that matter, we need to show that respect to the leaving employee. Leaving doesn't mean that we become enemy to each other. You never know when we cross the path again, right? Employee may come back, we need the same employee again, and that's where we ensure that we are treating them with the respect. So they go with the good taste in their mouth. They carry the good image of the organization. That's where we actually focus on the offboarding feedback. And we try to understand from the exiting employee that what kind of a treatment meted out to him or her when they were leaving, by the manager, by the HR, or maybe anyone for that matter, and then see that what we can improve. Whether they were getting the information in time about their settlements, their other formalities, etc., etc. What we have also done, we have now an alumni club. So all my exiting employee become part of the alumni club. We give them update about what is happening in the organization. We also seek the referrals from them, and then we get a lot of referrals from our ex-employee, and that happens because they carry the good image about the organization. Also, very interesting fact that our 78% of ex-employees are willing to come back in the organization, primarily because of the experience they have got in the organization.
That is a very remarkable stat. And I'm also curious, how do you identify that 78% of your ex employees are willing to come back?
We have a very specific survey, and we conduct after 45 to 60 days of leaving, right? So when they join the new organization, then we reach out to them and try to understand that what were the reasons for them to leave, right? And then what will actually, whether they are willing to come back or not. And that's where 78% people have shown the intention to come back if they get the right opportunity with the organization.
Do you have any examples to share?
I'll give you one example. Today morning only I have got a call, right? The person leaving, joining a different organization at a much senior level, and he called me today and he said that, sir, I'm calling you because I have decided to leave. I have joined already the new organization, right? But I'm calling you just to tell you that I can never forget Fresenius Kabi, because the kind of a culture I have experienced here, the kind of a respect which I have got here, the kind of a learning which I have got here. I'm leaving today because I'm getting a much bigger opportunity, much better money, etc., etc. But I would remain in touch, and then let's see that tomorrow, if something good comes in, whether I will get opportunity to come back to Fresenius Kabi or not. And these small talks, right, gives me a lot of joy, because this gives a feeling that whatever we are trying to do or whatever we are doing, at least we are making some difference to the organization and people's life.
Of course. And what a call to receive on a day like this. That's actually very remarkable.
Thank you.
The impression that the organization would have left on this employee. Out of curiosity, how long was he at Fresenius Kabi?
How long?
Was he at Fresenius Kabi?
How
How
long?
long was the employee who
How
called you?
that employee has actually worked for more than 12 years.
So for me, I think the biggest marker is the kind of connection that you have built with these individuals for them to be comfortable and open about these types of messaging about the organization.
This is what I've been talking, that how to create a psychological safe workplace in the organization.
Exactly.
And it's a constant efforts. It is not only the HR, but everybody, those who are having a responsible positions, they work hard to ensure that they are giving that kind of an environment culture where people feel psychological safe.
You've brought the point of employees that are looking to join Fresenius Kabi, and we've spoken about your exit processes. And I'm now curious about what happens before talent joins the organization. Is there anything that you would do preemptively?
I would specifically talk about our campus hire program. Right? What we do here, not very unique, but and not very different. But I think the execution and implementation, that makes a difference. So when we reach out to the colleges, we have a group, right? University relations, right? So we have identified universities, colleges, and where we go and then make presentations, do employer branding, etc., etc. I give you example of last year. We wanted to have 40 odd fresh pharma graduates, right? We reached out to the colleges, and you would be happy to note that we have got more than 1,000 applications, and that talks about the employer branding. But the most important point here, that when we selected those 40 people, from the date of selection till they joined, there was a gap of 6 months. And the challenge here is that how you keep engaged those young people for 6 months. And generally in India, the trend is that you will find maybe 10-15% people dropping out by the time they join. But we tried hard, ensured that none of them dropping till they join the organization. And what we did, that every fortnight we conducted an engagement program. So every fortnight we were giving them some idea about the organization, some idea about the organization's policies, processes, right, code of conduct, products, right. Then also we have a leadership connect, some kind of fun games, etc. All 6 months, every fortnight we had one or other things, to giving them the idea that what is the kind of organization, what are the kind of leaders, what kind of policies we have got, what kind of systems we have got, what kind of learning opportunities you would have. And that actually resulted into not even a single person dropping.
You had 100% retention
100%
rate?
joining, yes.
Oh, well done. You mentioned that, as you have shared, the engagement of early career talent is classic. Most organizations would have such a program. But at the same time, the differentiator here is implementation and execution. Can you talk a little bit more about the format of your fortnightly engagements?
We had a calendar, and my colleague Nitya is here. She can talk more about on this topic. We had a calendar every fortnight what we are going to do. So first engagement was that, hey, let's talk about the organization, that who are we, what we do, etc., etc. Then the second day, they said, okay, let's give them some idea about the products. What kind of products we do have? What is our motto? Why, when we say committed to life, what do we mean about it? Then maybe next we were talking about that specific business units, right? What kind of business units we have got? Who are the people who are managing those businesses? Then we are talking about the life in Fresenius Kabi. Once you join the organization, what you expect? What is our code of conduct? What are our policies? Then we got into the product training that, hey, you are going to deal with these products. These are my nutrition products. These are my pharma products. These are my medtech products, right? Understand broadly that what are those products are there. Then we are talking about what my policies are there. What do you expect here in the organization in terms of benefits, etc., etc. Then we also organize the leadership connect, right? So different leaders actually talk to them, and so they get an idea that what kind of leaders I'm going to deal with. Then also we talked about, as I mentioned, that hey, some kind of quizzes, fun, some kind of a small gifts, etc., etc. So that was the format which we followed.
Thank you so much for sharing, Tarkesh. Before we wrap up, I am very curious if you think there is any perspective that's missing from our conversation today, or if there is anything else that you want to share.
Maybe it would be good that if I call my colleague here to add anything which I'm missing.
Nitya, thank you so much for joining us. This is a real privilege to have you to join Takesh and myself on the podcast. Since we have been speaking about the topic of belonging and purpose in the organization, I'll give you, I would say, not the hardest question. What do you think gives you a sense of belonging at Fresenius Kabi?
For me, the sense of belonging comes from two things. Number one is always having a good manager, and the second one will be meaningful job roles. These two will be the most important things for me because, yes, while Gen Z considers a flexibility, inclusive workplace whenever they are considering to join a workplace, but both of these things or everything will get covered when you have a good manager. When you have a manager who is caring, your well-being is taken care of, your flexibility is taken care of. He or she will make you feel inclusive in the team, will be very collaborative, even will think about your development as well. So having a manager with that mindset is extremely important for me. Second one, meaningful job role, again talks about having work which will help me grow and make me feel like, yes, I am contributing to the organization as well. Getting that feeling that I'm making a difference. It can be very easy to have a job and doing some things, but not seeing the impact of it in the organization. But I think for me, even being in the Gen Z, I feel I do want to see my work make an impact. And it makes me feel like, yes, I belong in this organization because I'm making a difference, I'm bringing in something new. So I think, yeah.
I'm going to toe the line with the next question. Do you use the AI listening tool that he mentioned?
I do it very regularly, and I think in my first 15 days, I got slightly disengaged and I did give a feedback. And I think I got a call from him, and I think it was just first 15 days. So I was also not very accustomed to this organization. I came from a different industry, which was engineering. So I was finding it difficult to understand the business as a whole. But I then got a call from him, and then I sat down with him, and the flexibility that he showed me at that time, that you know what, take it slow, it's okay, you don't have to get overwhelmed. And the entire team, not just him, was there to support me throughout the entire process. And the way they actually tackled the things for me, they made it less overwhelming, they made it very easy. Everyone was there. Sometimes you also need spoon feeding, but you are just too ashamed to admit it. They just made it feel like, okay, it's fine, you don't know it, a lot of people don't know it. It's totally okay to not know things. And they were very supportive about it. I think the way it was addressed was amazing. And it was addressed, I think, within I think 5 days after I gave the feedback. So very quick resolution, and I felt really happy about the same as well. So this is the first time I got that experience. So yeah, it's an amazing tool.
So you know that now she is the person who is taking care of this tool for the organization.
Aha.
Yeah.
So you have become the ambassador after
Definitely.
becoming the user.
Definitely. The experience was amazing. I would like to maintain that experience for all the users as well.
Thank you so much for sharing. Out of curiosity, and you mentioned you had the engineering background before you came into this space, how long have you been at the organization?
With this organization, I joined Fresenius Kabi in September 2023. So it's been like 1.5 years almost.
Fantastic. Tarkesh, we're speaking about, you have a Gen Z on the podcast together with you, and we're speaking about career fluidity. I'm curious about your views, actually, both your views. Do you think career fluidity is good or bad?
So Libya, it's a both, right? It's good and also at the same time it is bad. Why I'm saying it is good? That when you are in a position to bring a different and fresh perspective to the organization, when you are in a position to challenge the status quo, when you are in a position to navigate the organization, when you are in a position to take people along, when you are in a position to learn, and also when you are in a position to contribute to the organization, add value to the organization, no matter if you are leaving the organization after 1 year, 2 year, or 3 years, it is good. But if you are just hopping the organization without learning and without contributing, it is a bad, right? It is bad from both perspective, from an employee perspective and from an organization perspective. As an employee, you are not learning. And that's where your employability, maybe down the line after 3, 4 years, will be a big question mark. It is bad from an organization because you are not in a position to contribute. And that's where you are just wasting time. And that's where I say that it is bad. And I strongly believe that any relationship is a two-way process. It is organization responsibility, it is an employee responsibility also. It is not that organization keep on doing all the good things and employees not reciprocating. And that's where I believe, and what Nitya had mentioned in the previous question, that having a supportive manager is actually plays a very crucial role. But having a supportive employee also plays a very crucial role to build a long-lasting relationship. And that's where fluidity is a secondary. It is more about that how you learn and contribute.
And that exactly is the closed loop for me of employee engagement. On one hand, the organization has a responsibility to cultivate manager communication and readiness and mindset. But on the flip side, what I'm hearing here is she is also saying, I think both of you are saying, it should be the employee's role to bring that feedback proactively and to speak up and to speak about what you need.
It is managers or organizations' responsibility to create an environment of psychological safety, create an environment where employee feel safe to speak. But also at the same time, it is employee's responsibility also to speak, right? If you're not speaking, then it doesn't work.
And so, therefore, you're driving the next use of the employee listening tool for employees to speak. Do you think it's good or bad?
It depends. One thing that I have seen is that I think somebody told this to me at the very beginning of of my career is that if you are going towards something, you should do it. But if you're running away from something, then you should not do it. Whenever you're switching an organization, you need to see if you're moving towards your growth or your development, or if you're going to make a difference in that organization or not. But if you're running away because there's something that you cannot do, or there is maybe something that you don't like, maybe there's some change that you cannot bring in the organization, and you're just running away from all of this, I don't think you should do that, because then again when you switch to the next organization, you might face similar issues. You might see what how can you tackle those problems first over here, and then maybe move towards a different segment altogether. So it's all about if you're moving towards or moving away from something.
Very well said. Thank you both so much for your perspective
Thank you so much,
on such
Livia.
a critical topic. Before we wrap up, I have a fun segment. Let's get into some rapid fire questions to get your thoughts on these. The first one, I think it's also for both of you. What's the most rewarding part of your job?
I pass it to her first, then I'll respond.
I would say well-being. Since I started with the well-being initiatives for the organization, I see it making a difference to the people's life every day. I think that has been my most rewarding initiative that I have taken in this organization.
Incredible.
Yeah, and
Tarkesh?
from my perspective, I think making a difference to the individual's life, the motto of the organization, committed to life, and that's where it gives a very strong sense that whatever we are doing, somewhere we are actually working towards improving the life of someone in some part of the world. So that actually gives that has been a very rewarding experience. And even in our day-to-day work, when you receive a call and somebody says, hey, I'm happy because of this, or I'm carrying good memories with me, and that has been very rewarding for me personally.
What's one HR trend you're excited about?
For me, it is that how you actually use the technology, because in today's context, technology is everything, data is everything, right? How you use technology, how you actually make sense out of data, but in the process you are not losing the human touch, because emotions plays a very crucial role. End of the day, we all are humans. So for me, that using the technology without losing the human touch, that's a trend I look forward.
For me, it'll be AI and HR. I think I use ChatGPT a lot. I would really want to see how it will revolutionize the HR in the future.
Incredible. Thank you. One additional perspective on this, in a recent conversation with a head of digital transformation who was also double heading as CIO for HR, he said that he takes a hand, heart, and head approach to anything he's doing. And the head approach and the hand approach is all of our strategy and how we operationalize things. But exactly to your point, sometimes we forget the heart component. How do our employees feel
Right.
when we push out something?
Absolutely.
Best piece of career advice you ever received?
In the early of my career, I received advice that your career is your responsibility. Don't blame or don't make others accountable for your own career. And many a times people come in and say that, hey, my manager is not supportive, or this is not working, or that is not working, opportunities are not there. These are all actually excuses. If you take charge, you can make the things happen. And that's what I followed from last many years, and that worked for me.
Happy to hear that. That's
Thank
very
you.
good advice.
For me, it'll be a quote which states that ever tried, ever failed, no matter, try again, and fail forward. So, no matter how many times you fail, it's okay. But you need to move forward it with it and just try again.
This is a winning quote. She completely beat you on that.
Yeah,
You were pre-prepared for this.
I'm happy for that.
How do you stay motivated at work? I'm not sure I need to ask this question. Both of you seem very motivated.
Yeah, I don't think we have to do anything additional.
Hmm.
We just come in and we just talk to our colleagues and we have a fun day.
For me, I think more than the motivation, it's the consistency, and that makes a difference. So even today, when I've got a decades of experience, when I'm getting ready in the morning and I feel excited, right? That's what makes a difference to me. Even today, I feel as if I'm joining my organization on the very first day, and that happens because of the kind of work which you do, the kind of a challenges you actually come across every day, the kind of opportunities to make a difference, and that's what actually keeps me motivated.
Last question. What's one book or podcast or movie that you would recommend?
Long back, I had read a book, 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene, and even after 20 years, I'm unable to forget that book. And I would suggest any upcoming manager must read that book in the right context.
Okay, I will pick up that book next. Nitya.
For me, I would say I don't read a lot. I mostly read fictions, but I think there is The Diary of a Young Girl by Anne Frank. That is one of my favorites. And the reason why I would suggest this book is the resilience that this girl had, that despite of the things that were happening with her, she still kept living her life as a teenager. And this gives us a very important learning that irrespective of whatever is happening around you, you need to be resilient, and you still need to live your life, because that is important. You just need to still do what you want to do.
Thank you both for sharing your very valuable perspectives and just being here today with me. Thank you all for being with us as well today, talking about sense of belonging and purpose and how it's driven at Fresenius Kabi with the valuable perspectives of Tarkesh and as well Nitya, who was able to join us. Thank you both so much. Thank you for being with us for today's session. We hope you took away something inspiring and valuable. Please do share it with somebody that you think will gain insight from today's session. And definitely, we would love to hear your views if you have any in the comment section down below. All of us are on LinkedIn, Tarkesh, Nitya, and myself. Please do connect with us. We would be very happy to be in touch. And together, let's build a better world of work. Thank you.